Hey everyone, and welcome back to a spoiler-free review of Castlevania Nocturne, the Netflix animated series. Now for those of you that are unaware, this is a follow-up to the original Castlevania series on Netflix that featured 4 seasons. And to be honest, that show pretty much set the bar for what could be done for video game adaptations in animation. So this follow-up series definitely has some big shoes to fill. However, it is not a direct sequel, it rather features a brand new cast of characters. So have they managed to recapture the magic of that first series? That's what we'll figure out in today's review. And as we jump in, if you are liking the content, just hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. By the way, all the footage you'll see in this video is pulled directly from the trailers, so as I said, no spoilers. Castlevania Nocturne is set 300 years after the events of the first Castlevania series, and follows Richter Belmont. It is also loosely inspired by the game Rondo of Blood. Now, as the series' main protagonist, Richter's development serves as the central arc for the first part of the series. The series also features an almost entirely new cast of characters pulled from the Castlevania lore, each with their own development arcs. Now, some of these arcs do stray far from the Castlevania tradition, but they do so in a smart and engaging way, adding new layers that nonetheless feel like they fit in well with the overall setting of the show. Now, I do want to issue a warning here. Even though I know the majority of my audience are in the mature category, this show really hits hard. And not only on the violence and gory side, but also the emotional impacts brought on through moments of loss. Just be prepared. The good news is, overall, there is a very good balance of storytelling and action within each episode, to make sure things always stay exciting. Just like the first series, this is some of the best animated action anywhere. Both visuals and choreography are fantastic and pushed to new heights, blending even more seamlessly martial prowess and magical abilities. In general, the animation throughout the show is beautiful and the music is also sublime, with different tracks from the game making surprise appearances. Now, the vast majority of the series uses the French Revolution as a backdrop for the action, and just like most of the major character arcs, explores themes of loss, rebirth, freedom, and brotherhood. Now, I found that although this is a perfect setting for the events of the storyline in explaining how vampires could be gaining power throughout all the chaos happening in Europe, at times the show tries to explore the events of the revolution a little too deeply. First, because to properly understand these references, the audience does need somewhat of a prior knowledge on the French Revolution itself, which just might get lost on some audience members. Secondly, given the scope and time frame of the show, they also feel rushed, given the complexity of the events behind them. Good news once again, however, I feel the showrunners figured this out, and in the back half of the series, these are somewhat set aside, and focus is brought back to what makes this show great, the three-way conflict between vampires, the church, and vampire hunters. Now, the show also creates very interesting backstory arcs for most of the rest of the characters, with my definite standouts being that of Annette and Edouard on the hero side, and Olrox stealing the show on the villain side. I also love that they once again gave us, for the most part, multifaceted villains, not just your standard evil for evil's sake cast of characters. The show also delivers a handful of great over-the-top moments of fan service and flair, although always fitting in with the vibe the show is going for. Now, without mentioning any spoilers, it does end with the clear possibility of a follow-up season if renewed by Netflix. That being said, some parts of the show did end up feeling a bit rushed, and thrown in to rather set up possible events in a sequel. I, for one, really hope we do continue our adventures with Richter and his crew, because except for a slight dip around episode 3 and 4, I had a great time watching the series. Overall, I'm giving Castlevania Nocturne a 9 out of 10. It is a worthy successor to the original series, and continues setting the bar for what can be done for video game IP adaptations. So this being a show directly related to a video game property, I found it just fitting that it would have a review here on the channel. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below, and would you like to see a spoiler edition of this review where we can go really in depth into what exactly I loved and maybe loved less about the show? Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video. Just as usual, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and click on that notification bell so you know when all my future content comes out. And as usual, I hope I'll see you in my next video.